Hey crafty friends, welcome to Saturday Extravaganza. This is Anna Kessler and today I'm creating another art journal page in my art journal. Let's start by protecting the other pages with some paper, and I'm going to take some gel medium or Mod Podge, whatever you have, and cover the entire page with it, spreading it all around with my brush, not too much, just enough to attach a tissue paper. So I'm going to do one side. Want that tissue paper to be straight with no bubbles. So once that is done, I can go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to cut this first. So now I'm going to add some Mod Podge or gel medium, whatever it is you're using, to the other side of my page. And once that's done, I can attach the other part of my tissue paper. Now, you know, it's always good when you do mixed media projects to seal whatever layers you can. So just apply another coat of Mod Podge or gel medium on top of your tissue paper and dry completely with your heat gun. I'm going to cut the excess off from all the sides, and then I'll have my entire art journal page covered with this beautiful tissue paper. I love this one. This is one of my favorite. Oops, forgot that side. Okay. Now I have here some pattern paper with patterns of cards, actually with hearts, just hearts, no clubs, no spades, just hearts. So you can start to see where I'm going with this art journal page. I'm going to just round some of the edges, some of the corners, and add these cards to my page. Just gonna see where I want them first. Many of you asked me if I plan my art journal pages ahead, if I think of what to do and how I want them to look. Well, usually I have an image in my head. It's very partial. It's just an idea. It's an idea of an image of how I want this to look. And then I start working, and usually it takes a life of its own, and I just create as I go along. Even when I do these tutorials, I'm thinking what I want to do while I'm working, planning it, you know, just in front of you guys. So I'm gluing down my cards with some Mod Podge. Again, like we did with the tissue paper, one seal, one coat of Mod Podge to seal it, and one to glue it down, because we're going to add lots of stuff later and I don't want them to absorb everything. So sealing these are a very good idea. Whatever sealing you can do to whatever layers that you have in your art journal is best. So I'm just going to use 6 of them, and I always try to use whatever leftovers and scraps and supplies I have. Now I have here some gesso that I'm going to add a little bit of water to, because I want the consistency to be more liquid and the gesso to be a little bit transparent, not too white, because I want to mute down the entire background with the gesso, so it will be a background and not the focal point of the entire page. So I'm just going over that page with the diluted gesso with the water. And I think I want another coat, dry between coats, of course, you know that already. That was my son. He just had to do that, so I said fine. So you will excuse him, right? Now he is also a part of this video. Anyway, continuing. So I've covered the entire, I want the butterfly covered as well. And of course dry, always dry. Now I have here some Inca Gold, which is a fast drying metallic gloss paint. This is the part when we get a little messy and getting our fingers dirty. I have no other alternative for you that I can think of other than using your fingers. For those of you who have problems with using their fingers, I'm sure you can come up with a better way, but I don't care. I just love to get my fingers dirty. That's part of my creative process, so it's up to you what you want to do. I'm going to use my fingers. So what I'm doing is, since I have long nails, I cannot scoop the paint with my fingers, so I'm just using this craft stick to help me. And I've just created a frame around my page with the Inca Gold. It's a red Inca Gold, and I'm using a baby wipe to smear some of it and create more depth to the color. And I've also used that to clean my fingers a little bit, which will not be very efficient considering all the stuff we're going to add with my fingers. So I'm just going over the frame around it with the baby wipe. Since it's wet, it's diluting the color as well. So you can use that for the first step, just for the frame, but it will not be as vibrant because you will be using a wet medium to apply it. I'm gonna spray just a little tiny bit of teal and spread it around with my wet baby wipe because I want it very muted. I don't want it to be blue or teal, just a hint of it. And of course, don't forget to dry everything thoroughly. Just a little tiny bit more on this side. And dry, of course, always dry, especially if you're an impatient person like I am. So now I have here just a plain cardstock that I'm drawing hearts freehand on it. I'm doing it on my art journal page because I want to create a sort of a stencil with the pattern of the hearts. When you don't have a stencil, you can just create it. Actually, you can create it from vinyl, from cardstock, from whatever you have. I'm just piercing the cardstock slightly so I can cut it, insert my scissors and cut around the shapes of the hearts, which you probably guessed that I'm going to use, right? So I'm just cutting them out very quickly, as not to bore you. Try to cut them in one shape because we'll use those hearts later, so don't cut them in pieces. Try to cut them in one shape. So I have here my hearts cut out already, just one more. And of course you can do it with smaller scissors. I don't know, I just don't feel like getting up and taking them. So this is my stencil. And what I'm going to do now is spray some red color spray and some gold one. I just have to change those caps because some of them are not working. So I'm changing them, replacing one with the other, and dry everything. Now I don't care that the shape is not perfect. That's part of the art. And I have here the big brush pens that I've already talked about in a previous video, I love these pens. These pens are, oops, that's wet. Just gonna dry this. So anyway, these pens are basically water-based, and while they're still wet, you can use your fingers or whatever other tool that you have to smear them to create shadows, or whatever you want. But once they're dry, they are permanent. So that's a really cool tool to work with. And you don't even have to dry them with a heat tool. They just, you know, dry in the air and they become permanent. So I really love these guys. They are by Faber-Castell. So I'm using different colors to create the frame or the border for each heart. So I'll have a clearer shape, and the shape in the hearts will pop out more and be more visible on my page. So I started with the red and then brown, and now I'm using black. You can see the beautiful effect that they have, and very easy to work with and very accurate because they have really sharp points, tips. Now I'm adding some more Inca gold, but I'm not using it as paint to color. I'm using it as texture. This is a very thick pasty kind of paint. It's not like acrylic paint. It doesn't flow. So I'm just using my stick, and the Inca gold with the gold paint, and just adding the Inca gold just as texture. I'm not smearing it. I just want it to be with bumps and ridges, and I want all that texture on my hearts. This is how I'm leaving it. I'm just applying it and leaving it like that. Adding just a few drops of alcohol ink to add another layer of color. Gonna help it with my finger a little bit, and with some baby wipe as well. And adding even more Inca gold. It's like a paste. It's like modeling paste, but it comes in a very small jar, so I don't want to use too much. But still, it has a really beautiful texture that I can add. Now I don't have a black Inca gold. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of black acrylic paint, and I'm going to mix it with very sandy textured modeling paste. You know that modeling paste have different textures. You can get different textures. So this one is very sandy, very grainy, and it will give me that texture that I want. I only need to mix very little because I don't want the modeling paste to dilute the black color and make it gray, because it is white. And I'm adding that textured paste that I have here in the same way that I did with the Inca gold, almost sculpturing with that texture, applying it to where I want exactly, and it looks very grainy and very textured. And this is the effect that I want to have. So I'm just adding it with my craft stick there. Just adding a little bit more to that big heart. Here and there, adding a little bit more. And of course you will need to dry all of this with your heat tool. Once that's dry, I'm going to put my hearts, the one that I cut. See, they're now bigger than the shapes that we cut, but that's okay because I want to spray a little bit more on my page, and I don't want to spray on the hearts. So I have a yellow spray here. So these paper hearts cover the hearts and I don't spray all over that. Another little bit of spraying, just helping it with my fingers a little bit and drying everything. That yellow pops everything up. Adding a little bit of gold around the hearts. It was a little bit wet, so I had to dry it slightly more before applying the ink gold. Around the frame a little bit too. Now I want to take my black artist pen, the big brush, the one that I used before, and go all around the frame, the edges of my art journal page, just to even emphasize the frame even more. Just go around with your fingers. Your fingers are very dirty by now, and that's part of the fun, right, you guys? Okay, so now I have here some leftover rub-ons that I want to add as just spots of black embellishments or black color on my art journal page. Don't worry if you don't have an exact, complete, perfect shape with your rub-ons. I like to just use my bone folder, and whatever is on the paper is on the paper, even if the shape is not complete. But don't stress about it. I mean, that's part of the fun. It's just for more texture and more pattern on my art journal page. So basically, it's another way to use whatever supplies that you have, whatever leftovers that you have. I always try to incorporate some leftovers from my stash because I have so much. So it's always good to find ways to use that. Now I want to add my writing. I have only white letter stickers and I want black ones. So lucky for us, we can color the letters with just a black pen. So that's what I'm going to do. It's kind of time consuming trying the big brush here, but I think that will be too muted. I want black, so just gonna bring in a pen. This is a really good pen. It's pigment ink pen. It's waterproof, so you can basically work on it on whatever surface that you have. So I have colored all my letters. It took a few minutes, but I think it's worth it. And I have here the word follow, and with that same waterproof pen I'm going to write the word your. And once that's done, I have the word heart, so that will be follow your heart. Where am I going to put that? See, I'm thinking right with you. I have no plans. I think I'm going to put it down here. Heart. Follow your heart. You should always follow your heart. Your heart knows what to do. Let's remove those background pages, and I have one last thing to add. I have these butterfly stickers. They have a transparent background. I got them at a craft store. They're basically were at the children's section. They're for kids, you know, for kids craft, but I really love the size and the color, and by chance they match the color scheme on my art journal page exactly. I just want to add those butterfly wings on the side of the big heart, and this is so stubborn to remove that, and this is, and I think I'm finished now. This is it. I really love how it turned out. I think it's really pretty, this art journal page with a really positive and good message. Always follow your heart. So I want to thank everyone for joining me. I hope I've inspired you and you'll create your own art journal page. See you all next Saturday, you guys. Bye.